Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. This is going to be a specialty show. One of my new things that I've been trying to focus on a little bit more. So, yeah, yesterday was a kind of a chaotic day, but actually a really awesome day. We had a hurricane pass through Maine, and there were some pretty big power outages. I lost power yesterday, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, we lost power most of the day, but no damage or no flooding that I know of in the area. That there were areas that were hit pretty hard. I've seen reports that certain parts surrounding towns are still out of power. And it's a beautiful day today. It was pretty stormy and windy, but I thought it could have been worse. But I, before the storm really hit hard, I was doing some videos. I was going to try to do some videos, but then power got knocked out, and then I tried to record some more stuff just because I can still do that, and that stuff kind of got all screwed up, so I decided to just start from scratch. But I just uploaded a video this morning that I did manage to record, which is another part to the series of coverage of all of the Stanley Kubrick movies. Super fun. I've been really enjoying doing the videos on each of his his wonderful, amazing films, all of his amazing films. It's the first time I've really done that. I've done the coverage for, you know, I've done probably maybe 5 or 6 coverage video shows on franchises. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday 13th series, which is my favorite, the Alien franchise, the Evil Dead franchise. I did a series on, but this newer series is pretty new. And a pretty different thing where I've taken a director, my favorite director of all time, Stanley Kubrick, and I'm doing reviews and little discussions on all of his films. So that's a lot of fun. I've never done that before, and I'm going to probably do more of those kinds of videos in the future. You know, certain directors that I really love. You know, a cool one would be, I think, David Lynch would be a really great one. I think Martin Scorsese would be a really great one. So yeah, lots of different a lot of new ideas around how to bring more and more variety to this channel, because it's all about trying to broaden things, but still the main focus of this channel is most of the shows that I have on here are still focused on the real low budget exploitation world, trying to bring light to movies that I feel haven't really been given the acclaim that they deserve, and so forth. And if I can introduce, for whatever it's worth, if I can introduce a movie that I really love that maybe someone out there has never seen, to me that's really great. And then just starting that discussion about that film or that director, to me that's the coolest part of this whole channel. So yesterday it was pretty awesome. I bought a shit ton of movies yesterday. It was kind of insane. Probably I went a little bit overboard, but not really. I mean, it's what I love to do, and I have some extra cash. So I had a friend, my great friend Aaron Kirkpatrick, about 2 days ago or a day or so ago, had told me about another sale, street sale, that Opera House Video was having. They did one. Opera House Video is pretty much the only mom and pop video shop here in the state of Maine that I know of. And I've had a membership there for years and years and years, and I love that place. And they had a big sale. I think it was, yeah, it was in June was the last one, or the first one. They had a big sale, blowout sale, where they were selling all of these duplicate copies and all of these extra movies that they had, and I made a killing that that time when I went, and they were having another one yesterday, which was actually even bigger than the one they had in June. So that's exactly what I did. And this whole box, you can see it. I This is all of the movies I bought. It's kind of insane. So it's full. It's a filled box, filled to the brim. So today's show, I'm gonna just talk about all the movies I bought. I'm just gonna run. I'm not gonna go into. I think what I might do, because I'm gonna start watching these tonight. I'm gonna do reviews on each one of these, and just talk about them at face value. Some of these movies I've seen. Most of them I've seen. Well, it's pretty split, I think, down the middle. There's a good majority of them that I've seen. There are a good majority of films that I haven't seen. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do shows on each one of these movies, whether I like them or not, whether I love them or whatnot, just my reaction, because I think it'll be a cool thing to do. And I don't usually do too many shows around that. I usually just focus on movies. For the most part, all the videos I do on this channel, I focus on all the movies that I just really really love, and I don't really. There are some videos where I'll do reviews, mostly around the time or the experience of when I go to see a new movie in the theater. I'll do a review for it, whether I liked it or not. But I think what I'm going to do with this series, since there's a lot of movies, I'm just going to do a show on each one, and it'll be a fun thing to just I'm going to be revisiting movies that I haven't seen in a long time. I got some new Blu-rays, and just kind of do a review kind of off the cuff on each one. But today's show, I'm going to basically not do an in-depth kind of thing on each one, but I'm just going to go through all the movies I bought yesterday. Got them really cheap. I got a pretty good amount of Blu-rays, a lot of DVDs. I typically, when I buy movies, I try to only focus on buying Blu-rays, but I still buy DVDs. DVDs are still, I think, viable and still really really great. I don't buy VHS anymore. They had a shit ton of VHS, and VHS, I'm okay if that just goes away. I've heard people out there say the reason they love VHS is because I think it's out of a nostalgic reason, first and foremost, but most people say, and they love, especially like the classic 80s, 70s, the grindhouse movies, exploitation movies, they love watching them on VHS because they feel it retains that grittiness and so forth, and that's why there's an attraction to it. But I recently just watched an interview with Bill Luswig, who is one of my favorite horror exploitation directors. Of course, he directed Maniac. He was talking about 4K and Blu-ray, and he said, well, when you watch something in 4K, it's the closest to the quality, being at the highest quality of when the film was actually shot. The original negative is of that quality. So watching it in VHS or DVD or Blu-ray, it's always downgraded. It's never that high of a quality. Blu-ray is very very good. Some DVDs can be, but VHS generally isn't at all. And he said 4K. He said when you watch it in something in 4K or a really good Blu-ray edition, you're seeing what the director saw. When they watched the first print of, or when they watched the the first version of that film, or the footage that they had taken, or the footage that was shot. That's because it's directly from the negative on film. So he said that's the highest quality possible, and he said that watching in 4K Blu-ray, you're getting that experience. So he doesn't believe in this idea that, oh well, VHS, that's the way to watch it because it's it's kind of grainy and it's kind of got that raw thing to it. He said that's kind of an illusion that doesn't exist. So That to me really kind of sealed the deal as far as my opinion on VHS. But I did buy mostly VHS. So here we go. So uh, the first movie I'm going to talk about is a movie that I saw. I remember seeing in the theater. I haven't seen it in a really, really long time. It's one of the last. I like Oliver Stone. Some of his films are of course amazing, especially in the earlier part of his career. This is one of his later films. Any Given Sunday. It's a football movie essentially. I'm not a big sports fan, and I'm not a really I don't really typically like sports movies. But that being said, there are tons of movies that I love that are more or less sports movies. Hoosiers is one with Gene Hackman. Essentially a basketball movie, but it's such an awesome movie. I love that movie. And then also Moneyball with Brad Pitt, which is a film about the Oakland A's. Awesome movie. I think it's one of Brad Pitt's best movies. But I could really care less about baseball, and that's the power of good filmmaking. It shouldn't matter. And Any Given Sunday, I haven't seen this in a super long time, and it's essentially a football movie. But I remember really liking this movie. I kind of feel like after this film, Oliver Stone's career kind of went off the tracks a little bit. But I think this is one of the last films that he made that was really, really good. Never seen it on Blu-ray. This is a really great looking edition. It's got tons of special features. I got it super cheap. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this. This is a movie I saw too a few years ago. It came out, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. It was produced by J.J. Abrams, and that is Overlord. This is actually a very cool movie. I remember uh, renting this at Opera House when it came out, and I think it was on DVD. But this is like a pretty awesome movie. It's kind of like a World War II movie, kind of set in a like heightened reality. There's a lot of action. It's pretty violent, pretty gory, pretty gritty. Um, so and overall, I'm a pretty big fan with J.J. Abrams. He did produce this, but generally, he's for the most part, things that he's involved with are pretty good. Not so much the last Star Wars, the last few Star Wars movies. I'm not I kind of feel like his career's kind of gone off the rails too a little bit, but this was good. I remember liking this quite a bit, and I've only seen this once, and I saw it when it came out, but it was pretty gritty and pretty brutal World War II movie. So kind of had a heightened reality, a little bit of like a comic book kind of vibe to it. But yeah, Overlord, and never seen it on Blu-ray, and it was really cheap. So, and it's got a bunch of special features. So, pretty excited about watching that. This movie looks really cool. This is a movie called. This is an old school movie. I think this is like from the late '50s. Hot Rod Girl. Kind of like a biker chick movie. Kind of looks like an exploitation movie. Never seen it, and the reason I bought this, and it's a DVD. The reason I bought this is it stars Chuck Connors. Chuck Connors is one of my favorite kind of character actors. He was a really well-known actor in Hollywood in the '50s and '60s. I think he was. The TV show was. I think it was Rawhide. I believe he was in. It was a Western series, and he was like the star of it. And that was a very big show. And Chuck Connors, at one point before he became an actor, was a professional baseball player. He did a series of a whole ton of movies in the '50s and '60s, and he was a pretty big actor. And also in the '70s, he kind of lost. I don't know what happened, but his career kind of went awry for a while. And then he started getting into doing all of these like super low budget kind of exploitation movies. And my favorite horror exploitation movie of all time, Tourist Trap, stars Chuck Connors, and that was a little bit later in his career. But that's my favorite horror exploitation movie of all time, and I'm a huge Chuck Connors fan, and I've never seen it, and then seen this, and it looks awesome, so I bought it, and it looks super cool. So Hot Rod Girl, yeah. This is a DVD too. I didn't mention that. Next up is another DVD, and that is a movie starring Audrey Tautou, who is a very famous French actress. Drop dead gorgeous, an amazing actor, amazing chops, amazing versatility. I haven't seen anything in her with her in a long time, but in the '90s, 2000s, early '90s, mid to late '90s, she was a huge star. She's a French actress, probably most well known for a movie called Amélie, which is a beautiful movie, beautiful French movie. This is another French movie she did, and this is a pretty awesome movie, Dirty Pretty Things. This is a really dark kind of thriller. So I've always liked this movie. I've seen this movie a few times. I got this on DVD, but very cool. I remember it being kind of a gritty, it had like a real gritty kind of Hitchcock vibe to it. Big fan of foreign films, and so pretty excited. It's got some cool special features on here. So yeah, looking forward to watching this. Dirty Pretty Things. Uh, Aubrey Tautou. Super cool. So very excited about watching that. This movie here is this movie is one of my favorite movies, kind of all time, and it's one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. It's one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best movies he's ever starred in, and I think it's one of the best movies he's ever directed. And it's never really talked about, and that is Absolute Power with Gene Hackman. This movie is so awesome. I love this movie on so many levels. I think it's you know one like I said, one of his best movies that he directed, that he has directed, and it's such a great thriller. And I got this. Would be great to get this on Blu-ray at some point, but I love this movie. I never hear it talked about. It's one of his best movies. I remember seeing this in the theater and just loving it. I've seen this movie a ton of times, and I've rented it at Opera House Video over the years. And this is VHS. And damn, this is such a good movie. If people out there have never seen this or have heard about this movie, if you like really good suspense movies, good like thrillers, this is one of the best ones. Gene Hackman is in this one. It's just great. Ed Harris, amazing cast, and Gene Hackman plays the president, and oh, it's such a great movie. So very excited about watching this. I think I'm going to watch this tonight. So, and then another movie I've been wanting to see, which I've heard lots of things about, and I've never seen it. That is it's a Wes Craven movie called Cursed, and it came out in the 2000-ish, late '90s period. Yeah, I've heard that this is really good. I've never seen it. I love Wes Craven. This came out before the Scream franchise. I think this film came out maybe a little bit before the Scream franchise started. And yeah, I've heard that this is like a really good werewolf movie. I've never seen it. So got it really cheap. It was like $2 on VHS or VHS DVD. So very much looking forward to seeing this. Um, I think Christina Ricci. Yeah, Christina Ricci is in this. So gotta love Christina Ricci. So pretty excited about watching it. Again, that's a movie I've heard about. It pops up every now and then when I'm, checking out reviews of werewolf movies, which I really love, or just horror films, or when I see these little talks about Wes Craven. Cursed always comes up, and I've never seen it, so I'm pretty excited about watching that. I think I'm going to do that tonight too. And then, speaking of Oliver Stone, I don't think I might actually already own this, but oh well. I don't think I do though. But Platoon, probably Oliver Stone's best movie. An amazing tale, story of life in during Vietnam. Uh, Pretty amazing film. This movie is kind of a masterpiece, and I got this really great Blu-ray copy of this film, so pretty excited to watch this. Um, And again, masterpiece movie, a masterpiece of a film. Probably the, probably, I've talked to people who are Vietnam veterans, and I have a friend that's was in the Vietnam War, a pretty close friend, and he said that this is the most accurate film, the closest to reality of what it was like to be in Vietnam. So very excited about seeing this on Blu-ray. Love this film. I think it's probably Oliver Stone's best work. So very excited. Although I do think I might actually even own this already, but oh well. But nevertheless, I'm excited to watch it. And then I got another, well, you want to call it a sports movie, but this is a really awesome movie. I think it's one of Robert Redford's best movies, and never seen on Blu-ray. And that is The Natural. This is a really awesome movie. It's essentially a baseball movie, but it kind of has like a supernatural element to it. Very very cool movie, and I always loved this movie. I always thought that this was a fantastic movie, and I've never seen it on Blu-ray. It's got a bunch of special features on it, so very excited about watching this movie. Really cool. One of Robert Redford's best movies. I never really hear much about this movie, but again, this is an example. Like, I'm not a sports fan, but this movie is so good, and I always remember watching this as a kid, and I always loved this movie, and so I was excited that they had this on Blu-ray. So very 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 much looking forward to watching this. This will be really cool, but really great movie. And this looks really cool too. I bought it's a DVD horror pack. It's got 15 movies on it. It's basically got all of these movies. Some I've seen, some I haven't seen, but it's got all these movies from like the late 60s to the mid 70s, which again, my favorite decade is the 70s, and you know, if it's a horror movie from that period, I'm going to see it. So, very excited about watching this. This is like a 2 disc pack, so hopefully the transfers aren't too bad. A lot of the times on these combo packs, the transfers on DVD are kind of horrible, especially for older horror films. But it's got Night of the Living Dead, of course, which I own. I have the Criterion version of that. House on Haunted Hill, I own that. Carnival of Souls, which is just, that movie is just a masterpiece. I have that on DVD. I don't have a good copy of that movie, but that movie is just an amazing movie. Blood Tide, Fangs of the Living Dead, Blood Pit of Horror, The Undertaker and His Pays, Nightmare Castle, Dementia 13, which is the first Francis Ford Coppola movie, Count Dracula and His Vampire Brides, awesome movie. Last Man on Earth I have. So yeah, looking forward to this. This was really really cheap. This was even cheaper than the other DVDs, and it's got 15 movies on it. So pretty cool, pretty rad. So looking forward to checking this out. And I have seen most of these. Well, I should say it's kind of half and half to what I've seen and what I haven't seen. So yeah, pretty excited about watching some of those movies. This movie looked pretty awesome and really really terrible. DVD copy is called Beyond Justice with one of my favorite actors, Rutger Hauer. Looks super cheesy and terrible, and amazing. It's got Omar Sharif is in this film too, which is crazy. Beyond Justice, never heard of it, never seen it before. Um, yeah, it looks great. It's yeah, it's an Italian movie too, so I love me some Rutger Hauer. So yeah, I got this for like $1. So very excited about watching this. This is DVD. It looks amazing. So never heard of it before. The other movie I got, which I have seen, is very very good. I'm actually a really big Matthew McConaughey fan, and that is Mud. This is a very cool movie. This came out, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Reese Witherspoon is also in this movie. I saw this a couple times. It's a pretty gritty movie. I remember it being really good. Uh, Big fan of Matthew McConaughey for the most part. He's done some amazing work. So very cool movie. This looks like a pretty cool edition of this movie. It's got some special features on here, and it's DVD. So yeah, very excited. I haven't seen this. I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times, but I forget most of it. But I remember being really, really good. So kind of excited to watch that again. And very excited, I picked this up. This is American Graffiti, the first movie directed by George Lucas. So super excited to watch this. Um, yeah, I have never seen this movie, um, which is crazy. I've never seen this movie. This was a movie that really, really put him on the map as a director. This was before Star Wars, obviously. Um, THX. I wonder if he. I think this came before or after THX. I'm not really sure. I think this came THX, which is a George Lucas movie, which is just one of the such an awesome sci-fi movie. Um, I think this came out before, but this was a really acclaimed movie. This was a really big movie. This kind of established his career, and I've never seen it. It's so weird. And this is a really nice edition of this movie. Special edition. It's got tons of special features on here, so very excited about finally watching this movie. Never seen it before. And then I'm a big fan of Mel Gibson. I like a lot of his films. I think he's directed some really awesome movies. I do like him as an actor, and this is a movie he was in called Edge of Darkness, and I remember liking this movie. It's kind of like a cop drama film. I remember really liking this movie, and I heard that there's two editions of this film. There's like a regular theatrical version, which I think this one is, but I heard there's also a director's cut version of this film that blows the theatrical version out of the water, which I've never seen, and that would be cool to see. Um, but I heard it. The difference between both movies is the editing is really, really different, and the director's cut's supposed to be really, 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 really good and much better than this version. But I still snagged it up. I remember liking this movie. I forget most of it, but I'm looking forward to watching this. This has some cool special features, and I like Mel Gibson quite a bit. So yeah, he's done some pretty killer movies throughout his career. Braveheart and Apocalyptica and things like that. And this is another Blu-ray I got, which pretty awesome. Pretty excited. This is a really nice steelbook of MASH. Nice, beautiful packaging. Um, Really cool steelbook. This was really cheap. Of course, MASH, famous TV show, classic American comedy drama series that was on for many years, and this movie is great, classic movie. So I haven't seen any of anything from the TV show, and I especially haven't seen this movie in years and years and years. So pretty excited about watching this, and never seen it on Blu-ray. So this will be a fun watch. But this is a beautiful package. I mean, really nice. So I snagged this up. It was really cheap. So very excited about that. And also bought. I'm a huge James Bond fan, and I would love to eventually get all of the Bond films on Blu-ray. I have most of Daniel Craig, the Daniel Craig Bond movies on Blu-ray. Huge fan of those movies. And I have a couple of the earlier ones, but I have a ways to go. But I picked this up anyway because this is a great movie. I'm a huge Bond fan, and this is A View to Kill. I got this on DVD. Looks pretty cool. It looks like a pretty cool edition. It was really, really cheap. It's got some cool special features on here. Old school Bond. So figure what the hell, why not? So looking forward to watching this. I haven't seen some of these older ones in many, many years. So this will be a fun rewatch. But very cool. this is a kind of a terrible movie, but I've always had just an unbelievable crush on Elizabeth Hurley. I've always thought she is just such a bombshell, incredibly gorgeous, and she's incredibly hot in this movie. This is kind of a cheesy, terrible movie, Brendan Fraser, but what the hell? I I like this movie, and I thought it was super entertaining. Bedazzled. I believe this was a remake from a film, a British film that came out in the '60s or '70s. So yeah, kind of looking forward to watching this movie. Super cheesy, but Elizabeth Hurley is just amazing in this movie. It's got a bunch of special features on here, so got it really cheap. It's DVD, so looking forward to watching this sexy little movie. Um, and then another movie that I got, which I really want to get on Blu-ray, which I think is an awesome movie, and that is the sequel to Stephen King's The Shining, Doctor Sleep. Really, really good movie. This movie kind of blew me away. I blew me away when I first saw it. I was really, really, really surprised. Um, The Shining is my favorite, pretty much my favorite horror movie of all time. It's my favorite Kubrick movie. I'm not a really big fan of the book. I think the book is pretty overrated, and the movie is superior to the book. I think on many levels. But I'm a huge fan of the director, Mike Flanagan. He is such an awesome director. He's done all kinds of great uh, horror films. He's one of the best voices in horror right now. And he directed this. And I was like, how is this going to be? But this movie is so fucking awesome. It's really, really good. It does this amazing thing where it does pay homage to the book and very much so to The Shining, the movie. And it's wild how they were able to tie it together. Mike Flanagan's kind of a genius, and this is a really good horror movie. Ian McGregor, really really good movie, and I was really blown away by it. I do need to buy this on Blu-ray, but I figured, what the hell? I saw this on VHS or DVD, really cheap, so I just snagged it up. I've seen this movie twice, but really good. I was so surprised by this movie, and this movie bombed, totally bombed, and nobody talks about it. And this movie is so underrated, but I'm looking forward to watching this again. But really amazing, and considering how ambitious, to and just having the balls to be able to make a movie as a sequel to The Shining is crazy, and to have it to be where I feel like as good as it is, really great movie. But I do need to get that on Blu-ray. That would be essential. And this is a another DVD I got, and big fan of this series. All the decades, the newer ones I think are probably my favorite, and that is Doctor Who. This is the what is this? The more recent. I think it came out about 5 years ago. Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman. Big fan of this series. Of course, the infamous Doctor Who series has been around for years and years, and these are like the newer versions. But I actually really love this show a lot, and I've seen most of them, but I love them, and I don't own any of them. So this was really cheap on DVD, so I snagged it up. It's got a bunch of episodes on here, so very very excited. Um, it's a really good series because I think it's every series or every episode. You do need to have a backstory and watch things somewhat in order, but I think they're strong enough that you can go in pretty cold and just watch them and really get a lot of fun out of them. So very cool, Doctor Who. Pretty excited about buying this. Have I don't think I have any Doctor Who on DVD or Blu-ray that I believe. So this is a movie too, which I haven't seen, and I've heard mostly good things. I've heard some mixed things about it, um, from like reliable sources that I really agree with, and that is a more recent remake of the classic Canadian slasher movie, Black Christmas. This is the remake. Black Christmas, of course, one of the most iconic slasher horror exploitation movies ever, and that came out in the 70s. In some ways, probably the most important slasher movie ever made. Amazing movie. This is the remake, and I heard that this was actually, for the most part, very, very, very good. So, never seen it. So, I'm skeptical, just because I love the original so much. Not a huge fan of remakes, but this was really cheap, and it was DVD, so I figured, what the hell, I'll buy it. Never seen it before. So, some of the same people that were involved with the Get Out and the Halloween film were involved in this. So, yeah, figure, what the hell. This came out, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I don't really know much about it, actually. So, looking forward to actually watching it. And again, I got another movie, which is, you know, just a classic, and that is, I got this on DVD, and that is Howard Hawks' amazing, amazing director, Rio Bravo. Got this on DVD. This is a really good edition. It's got a bunch of special features on here. So, I mean, I've seen lots of interviews with Quentin Tarantino, and big Tarantino fan, and he's pretty much always said in lots of interviews that this is his favorite movie of all time. I have seen this movie a couple times, and it's awesome. It's definitely one of the best westerns ever. So, John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson. So, figure, why the hell not? It would be great to get this on Blu-ray, but this was really cheap. So, classic movie. Rio Bravo, looked at as and regarded as possibly the best western ever made. So, very excited about watching that again. I haven't seen it in quite a few years. This movie is speaking of westerns, this movie is awesome. This is my favorite John Wayne movie, and that is The Searchers. This movie is so badass. I came across this movie. I saw this movie last year for the first time. I think it was last year. Saw it for the first time, and I had seen a interview with Martin Scorsese, one of my favorite directors, and he was talking about a lot of movies that he grew up on, and movies that are big inspirations for him. And this was the movie he talked a lot about, and he said that this was his favorite western and one of his favorite movies of all time. And so I eventually saw it. I rented it last year at Opera House, and it's awesome. I mean, it's a pretty brutal movie, but it's one of the best westerns I've ever seen. It's such a great movie. Pretty gritty, pretty dark, but The Searchers with John Wayne, but awesome movie. So I snagged this up on DVD, and I figured, what the hell not? And I remember when I watched this, the first time I saw this movie was this copy. The transfer and everything being really, really good, and it's all remastered, but pretty excited to watch this again. It's such an awesome movie. I'm a huge fan of westerns too, so it's definitely one of the best. And then I got another Clint Eastwood movie. Again, another amazing Clint Eastwood movie, High Plains Drifter. Such a great movie. Classic western. This would be great to get on Blu-ray, definitely. I would love to get all of the films on Blu-ray of his career, but I don't. I only have a few of them. The Unforgiven is probably my favorite of all time. Probably my favorite western of all time. I have that on Blu-ray. Really great edition. But this is an awesome movie, and so couldn't pass it up, so I snagged it up. So very excited about watching this. Haven't seen it in quite a few years, so yeah, looking forward to it. And finally, I got one more movie. I'm actually a pretty big Mission Impossible fan, so I decided to snag it up, and I got Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. I got this on Blu-ray, so I have not seen this movie in a really long time, but I remember always really liking this. I actually really like this entire franchise. I think it's a really good franchise, so very excited about seeing this on Blu-ray. I've never seen it on Blu-ray. I've never Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of these movies on Blu-ray, so I'm excited to watch this. So this is Jason Dean, and this concludes all of the movies that I got. So stay tuned for me doing shows on each of these movies, as little review segments. So thanks again, and thanks again to Dennis Howard and all at Opera House Video for doing such a cool thing for the town and the community, and for film fanatics like me. So peace, and we'll see you next time.